Welcome everyone to ILEA Q&A, where we explain and answer questions about some of the exciting benefits of being an ILEA member. Today's topic is the ILEA Esprit Awards, and I have with me two guests, Jody Gold and JC York. So Jody, can you say hello to everybody and tell them who you are?
Hi, everyone. I am Jody. I am currently the Director of Programs for ILEA Boston, but I am an event designer for Siegel Productions Entertainment.
Excellent. And JC, how about you?
I'm JC York with Classic Entertainment, Wise Guys Interactive, and I'm proudly serving as Mr. Esprit once again, your ILEA Esprit Awards chair.
Awesome. Now we know Jody's in Boston, so where are you, JC?
I'm actually down in Tampa, Florida.
Wow. Okay.
Tampa Bay, as we're calling it, just for a few months here.
Okay, so we got a little bit of a Tom Brady connection going on between our two locations.
We thank you for that transplant.
That's right. Excellent.
Don't forget Gronk. He went there too.
That's true.
Hey, I shared a cab with Gronk one time in New Orleans. Him and his brother. Fun time. The guy's a really nice guy.
Very cool. Very cool. Nice. Okay, so we're here today to talk about the Esprit Awards. And JC, since you're Mr. Esprit, how do you describe what Esprit Awards are to people when they ask you?
They are a leading international awards that recognizes the best of the best and exceptional individual or organizational achievements in our event industry.
And who's it for? I mean, who gets excited by this?
Well, for the longest time, it was ILEA members, but due to changes in our industry and the way things are and the establishment of how well the ILEA Esprit Awards have been recognized, we now have opened the competition to any event professional in the industry.
Nice. And obviously we're sitting here in early 2021, and we're going to talk about an awards program that was for events that occurred during 2020. How does that work, right? It's a pandemic year. How did that affect the plans for things?
Yeah, I mean, it makes it difficult. And there were definitely a lot of discussions behind the scenes to determine whether or not we should have an awards celebration this year. And when it came down to it, the answer was yes. And for clear present reasons of it's a great way to indicate and to show how well we as an industry have always done well with adaptation. We always adapt. No matter how hard it's been, we find ways to adapt. And there are plenty of event professionals who have done amazing things over the 2020 year that we didn't want to ignore. We didn't want to just overshadow it and say, you know what, we had a tough year. A lot of people had a tough year. Let's just skip it all together. There's a lot to celebrate in our industry. And we wanted to take that and move forward with it so that people recognize that there's hope at the end of this dismal year that what was 2020 and what has the pandemic that's still affecting us in 2021. But know that we're going to get better. We will always be better. And if anything else, the thing that I've always believed and the thing that I very much believe now in 2021, people want and need events. They're going to come in throes of I'm getting tongue-tied here, but it's like I'm excited for it because I know what our industry is about to be upon. We're going to look back and remember that day where we had time to jump on a Zoom call at 1:30 in the afternoon on a Friday? You're not going to remember those days, but we're all going to be too busy. We're going to be so busy very soon. I really do believe it.
Right. I think about it too, just like you celebrate your birthday and your anniversary every year. It's sort of like it forces you to stop and look back at what your commitment created, right? And sometimes as event professionals, it's hard to do that because you're so busy working about the next thing, thinking about the next job or the next year. And sometimes it's okay to give yourself permission to kind of step back and celebrate and sort of spend a bit of time basking in the good things that we do in the industry.
Exactly. Because if not, then what are we doing? We're going to be woe's me and have a pity party. I don't think that it projects the right thing that what we're good at the most of in our industry, more so than a lot of other industries out there. I mean, we recognize it's tough. It's been a tough year. Right. We've all been through it.
I also think it's nice because being an international organization, everyone's in a different place. So we just started the opening process yesterday for Massachusetts, whereas in Florida, you have been able to do some sort of event for a little bit longer than us. And people in all different states, Texas, California, they're able to do different gathering sizes and whatnot. So there are still things happening, and the people that are not necessarily connected and talking to each other every day, it's nice to see how they grew and how they changed their business during this time.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you have to look at one of the new categories we came up with was best industry adaptation. How did you adapt last year? That's an amazing thing. And beyond that, any of the current categories is also a look at to say, hey, you had an event, your event changed. How did you adapt with that? And how did you still have a successful event in the year that was 2020? So I think it actually showcases the creativity, and to steal someone else's Facebook group, a good divergent thinking on what's out there to show how well we do as an industry.
Right. Wonderful. Wonderful. So if somebody was listening in on this and they're thinking about the Esprit Awards, how would you frame up what could they get out of it? What's the reason they get excited about it and think about participating?
All right, I'll take that one. And Jody's a past winner, as so am I. It's prestige first and foremost. I mean, it's also recognition. The thing that I like about the ILEA Esprit Awards, it's judged by other event professionals. And we have a big group of event professionals from all around the world who judge the awards. So it's recognition for my peers. And it's not a popularity contest. It's a tough judging format that gets done. So it is to show that your award was valid. And it gives my sense of, then it's ego. It's a little bit of my ego for me. It's self-validation that my work that I've done was award worthy. Even being nominated is hard to do. So just a nomination is fantastic with us. So that's why we don't even call it winners. We call it recipients, because being nominated is being a winner in that regard, because it's tough. It's amazing competition. I've had the pleasure of reviewing a lot over the last few years. I've been a judge for a long time. I now see everybody's entry, and it's amazing to be able to look at all the creative output that's there. And it's some tough competition. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there are even some times where we only have a category that has 1 or 2 entries. It's not because we didn't have 1 or 2 more entries. It was that those were the ones who only qualified to be nominated, because we do have a floor now that you have to get a minimum score to achieve.
Right. So there's not always it's not open to anybody. Essentially, you got to meet certain criteria before you even qualify to be nominated. Excellent.
I do also think it's the individual ego, of course, but it's also taking your company to another level. It's someone can consider, comparing 2 event planners or 2 linen companies or 2 producers or creative outlets. And when you're looking at it, that could be the deciding factor of going with an award-winning company versus someone who hasn't necessarily. And it's not that their work is any better or worse, but it's recognized, and it sets them apart. And I think that goes a long way.
Excellent. Well, Jody, JC referred to it. You're Boston's most recent ILEA Esprit Award winner. You won an award last August at the awards pageant. So what did you win? What was the category that you won?
I won Best Social Event for a Non-Wedding over 75K. That's because at Siegel Productions, we specialize in bar and bat mitzvahs. So I chose to showcase that and put that out there.
Okay. And so why did you apply? I mean, how did the thought process start for you? I mean, I know you said, or I guess, where did it begin in your mind?
So I went into planning this event knowing I wanted to submit it for an Esprit. When I went to the ILEA Esprit Awards in Minneapolis, I went through every event I did the following year, being like, what is award winning? What could be something I want to showcase and show off to everyone? That helped me. But at the same time, I went in with this specific one with the support of the company, knowing they were excited about it. Obviously, with COVID, it was the beginning of COVID. It sort of set us back a little on the timeline. But at the same time, it was one of those things that we just wanted it, like I said before, to take us to the next level. Whether we won or were just nominated, it was still very exciting.
Right. And just to clarify the timeline part. So you won an award for an event that took place in 2020, and the award was received, in 2019, and you received it in 2020. And so now we're talking about people that would receive awards this year for events that took place in the calendar year of 2020, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, just to clarify.
Actually, I want to follow up a great point that Jody mentioned. She went into the event knowing she wanted to submit for an Esprit Award. And I think that's a great way to think about it, because a lot of people try to figure it out after the fact. And if you go in with a game plan of knowing, hey, this is an event that I'm going to want to enter in for an ILEA Esprit Award, then you're already gathering information right from the beginning. you're figuring out which documentation you want to hold and put off to a folder. You're thinking about pictures ahead of time so that you have that arranged, because the pictures and the collateral of your documentation play a big factor in the overall award process. So when we are judging the awards, it's not just about tell me about your event, it's support it with management collateral, event collateral, even multimedia collateral if you're going to video part of it. It all helps helps the judges see your event in a whole new light.
Right, right. So JC, let me ask you a question. Jody's an event planner and designer, right? So she's sort of in the midst of all that stuff where it's easy for her to have access to all that info. A lot of our members are suppliers, people like me, where they might be one piece of the story, right? Whether it be linen suppliers or entertainment people or photographers. So are these awards designed for them too? How can they participate?
Yes, they are. We have 34 different categories. And those are brought down with the 6 budgeted categories. So there's actually 27 categories individualized. And we have all types of different different categories for the suppliers. We have best entertainment production. We have best logistics. We have best event design decor, best photography, best filmmaking, videography, which I want to highlight that because a lot of people think that's only about filming the event. Anybody who produces video for an event, that category is for you. That is to like the general session openers that you're going to put a great montage together. Someone made that video. That is also, it's not just about filming the event. And then last year, we came up with, we separated a category for best support services. Best support services would be an element, let's say for a baker. You make an amazing wedding cake. We don't have that. Yes, we have best catering and best catering innovation, but we don't necessarily have for best cake maker. However, support services would fall under that. A specific furniture grouping, even though you might fall in with another category, design and decor, but if you didn't design it, it's just your decor, you could fit in there. However, you could also fit within a segment of that element. The same thing with event production or entertainment production. You might not do entertainment for the entire production. You might have an element of entertainment that went with an event. So we have all these different categories for suppliers, as well as planners, DMCs, your tech companies. It's open for everybody. There is something for everyone there.
So there shouldn't be a member of the events community that couldn't find an award that sort of fits what they do in their business.
Correct. Especially with last year with our introduction of best support services.
Excellent.
I
Excellent.
would also say that, like, for even as the planner, I did not have anything to do with the food and beverage for my particular event that I submitted. So I included that. I let them know that this budget and category only related to the design, the decor, the invitations, everything else, but that they handled that directly. And so I was not a part of it. So there's ways to work around it.
Right there. That's a tip. And if you're entering, that is a major tip right there to save you points. If you're doing an overall event and you're not doing F&B or you're not doing the AV for this particular, because they source it out somewhere else, or it's the hotels within it. And so you're not the venue and the venue's taking care of the AV. Just mention that in your entry. Because now you stated, hey, we did this, but we did not do that. So that when they're looking at the budget, if it's a budgeted category, we're now going, well, what about the AV? I can see it in the pictures. They have a great AV package. They look at the monitors, look at the lighting. But if that's not part of your event, just mention it. It saves you points, because you will get deducted if the judges are thinking, okay, they had this beautiful event. Did they not provide food? They did everything else but that. So good tip, Jody.
Excellent. Excellent. So you said there's quite a few categories. How many total awards are there?
34.
So if you're someone who's kind of new to this and isn't familiar with them, how would you advise that they would sort of figure out what category are the right ones, or to get familiar with them?
I would advise them to go to ILEAHub.com/Esprit Awards. And then there you're going to be able to read about the Esprit Awards. And then beyond that, go to categories. Go to the official link is here. I'm going to look at it. It's categories and criteria.
Excellent.
And there you have a list of all the criteria. All you have to do is hyperlink on any of those. It'll open up an explanation of the topic or the category, as well as give you a highlight insight of what questions will be asked of you. And there you can determine, oh, that should be where I should enter. I should enter under best technical production versus best virtual, because mine's dealing more with technical than it is just virtual by itself.
Okay. Okay.
I don't
Nice.
think it hurts to look at the past recipients in the categories you're considering as well
Exactly.
and see the type of product or event or service that they've provided and what has won in the past. That might lead you towards a different category than you would have thought of before, or might confirm that that's the right one for you.
Right.
And
That was
that's
my next
also on the
question is like,
website.
how do you get a feel for what's award winning, right? What's worth submitting? How do people think through that? So looking at past winners is a good example, right? To kind of almost like benchmark a little bit and say, what sort of things have won before to give you a sense of whether it's
I
your event.
also really recommend going to ILEA Live and seeing the actual award ceremony. If it is virtual like it was last year, it's still just as great. I think in that it builds up the hype and the excitement, and you actually feel that energy of what it means to win.
Right, right. Maybe that's the best thing people should do is go watch the recording from August of last year.
Which,
Right?
yeah, which is up on the website. So you can go again, ILEAHub.com/Esprit Awards. You can look at last year's recipients. You can watch the entire video from last year of us giving out the awards, which also included last year, 1 year only, included the Spirit of Excellence Awards for those who were maybe non-members currently who don't like, well, why are we getting look at chapter awards? It was a combination awards celebration last year. But this year with the focus on the Esprit Awards, again, it's available to everybody. So whether you're a member or non-member, you're allowed to enter this year. Or even obviously that was done because if you're a former member who, couldn't stay current at the moment, we wanted to make sure that it was open to everybody.
Nice.
It was important for us to represent the entire event community.
Jody and I actually watched the last ceremony together in socially distanced lawn chairs, projected on the side of a building with a couple.
I
of
saw
board
pictures
members.
while I was live. I was getting pictures. So when I was not on screen, I was getting updates from friends, and they were sending that in. It was great to see you guys do that.
Excellent.
And my most of the time crying of the entire event. It's all good. It's fine.
That's right. That's right. So JC, you alluded to it earlier, but if you would summarize what's different about this year's awards than prior, what are the key changes?
All right. Well, obviously the key change is now it's open to everybody, both non and ILEA members and ILEA members, obviously. So the ILEA Esprit Awards is open to the entire events industry. So you do not have to be a current member to enter. There is a price differential. Obviously, an ILEA benefit of being a member is your price to enter is cheaper. We have 5 new categories this year, brand new categories to represent the changes in our industry. And then on top of that, we've also changed the budgeted categories. And so what we did with the budget categories, most of those had a 3-tiered budgeted system, and now they're down to 2. So it's either above or below a certain rank. And we went to the previous 5 years to balance out the average of figuring out what was the good break point for those numbers. And then beyond that, there are 2 ILEA only categories this year. So while it's open to everybody, there are 2 categories that you have to be an ILEA member to enter. And that is ILEA volunteer collaboration and then ILEA best team effort, which was one of the budgeted categories, but we now have eliminated the budget from that category. So now it's best ILEA team effort, no matter what size event it was.
Right. And that's I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's the one where I've been part of participating before, where sometimes if you feel like you're a small part of an event, but there was a really big event that happened, there's a certain category for essentially saying if 5 or 6 members of ILEA work together on an event, you could sort of submit one application jointly, each participate for these awards designed for collaboration. So it's not just all about how much you did yourself.
Exactly. I mean, that's why we have always done those last. When we announce them last because that is the spirit of the industry. It's working together. And so we've always wanted those to kind of have that feel to it and the importance. It's like winning the, I forget which organization is not just best picture, but it's like the best cast. I think the Golden Globes do the best cast, or maybe Screen Actors Guild, versus just the movie. It's about the cast. And here it's about the team. It is what we can do. So, but we want to leave those specifically for ILEA team effort and team collaboration as ILEA members only. However, any category can be entered by more than one person in a team. So if you and Jody want to enter any of the other categories, the definition of a team this year is just 2 or more people. However, with the ILEA only, it's 3 or more. And it's not just stopped at 2. If you want to enter 5 people in best technical production, but you have 5 different people, that you can do. I mean, so every category is open to multiple people per event.
I
Got it.
think that speaks to how people go into their events as well. It is a hidden benefit that people don't necessarily recognize they have from being an ILEA member or being part of any organization, is that when you're selecting vendors or becoming part of something to team up with for an event, I feel like choosing an ILEA associate, as the vendor you choose, I think that makes a big difference, and not necessarily because you're going to submit it for an Esprit, but because those are the relationships to establish.
Right. I wonder if there's one for best Zoom cocktail party while wearing pajamas we could submit to, Jody. We probably have one of
There you
those,
go.
a few of those in the chapter, right?
I mean,
Maybe.
that would fall into one of our brand new categories, best virtual event.
There you go.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Thank you. This has been really good. So last question, JC, in terms of the process. So people submit an application by the deadline that's coming up in a few weeks. What happens after that? How soon do you hear what's going on?
All right, so as we stand, submissions are now open. We hope that everyone's taking the time to go read and research and enter for an Esprit Award. The first deadline at normal rate would be March the 15th, 2021, 11:59 Pacific time. So so those us here on the East Coast can be working until 3 o'clock in the morning to get those in.
From experience, don't do that.
Don't do that. Do not wait for that. But March 15th is the first cutoff. There will be late submissions accepted all the way through March 31st, but that will come with an additional increased rate.
Right.
Then after that, we vet all the entries. Myself and the ILEA headquarters, we make sure that everyone who entered the information that they entered was accurate. So if you did put down that you were an ILEA member, we go and confirm that those memberships are active, and you do need to be an ILEA member by the time of submitting. So make sure that if you were thinking about joining again, or you wanted to enjoy that ILEA member benefit rate, then by all means, make sure you do that by March the 15th. After that, we open up judging, and judging normally takes between 3 weeks. Because there is a lot of entries, we have a lot of judges. Every category gets judged minimum 3 times by random event professionals throughout the world. And then we confer all that. We answer questions. We review anything that may potentially be a DQ and verify whether or not it's a DQ process. So there's about a month and a half to almost 2 months from the end of submission before we announce the nominees.
Got it. Okay.
We take our time. It's not a rush situation.
Definitely.
We want to make sure that we ask our judges to take the time to read. Each entry normally takes between 20 to 25 minutes to judge. Because it's not a speed thing. It's not a quick thing. We want everyone to read the words that are written, look at the collateral, understand the event. And so it takes some time.
Excellent. Excellent.
And then we are still anticipating August 11th. I believe it's a Wednesday. Will be the Esprit Awards.
Nice. Put it on the calendar. Sounds great.
Exactly. Mark it down now.
That's right.
Whether in person or virtual, everyone
Yes,
should
hopefully we're all going to
experience
see
it.
you all in San Francisco in person. But if not, then we'll definitely be coming across our screens again. And hopefully this year, kind of like your lawn party, we'll actually be able to do it in better groups where you're actually going to be able to get chapters together to celebrate, or companies, and have little viewing parties. That will be obviously the exception to the rule, because we hopefully will be there in person.
That's right. Fingers crossed.
Got to fingers crossed. Got to still keep hope.
Good, good. Jody, any last tidbits of advice you might offer to people that are listening and thinking about that you haven't already said?
No, just if you have any questions about where your event may fit, or what you're thinking, or you're hesitant, just to reach out to us, because we're here to answer them. And you might not know if you can, you might hesitate and second guess, and there's someone out there who's going to reassure you that it's probably award winning.
That's right. Especially for the Boston people listening, you're not the only person they could turn to. We've had lots of people that have won or participated or submitted in the past. So there's plenty of people that can help answer questions or navigate new first-time participants.
Rocky and Terry Toomey, I think, submit almost every year, and
that's right.
And they've won several. So I would say
they win almost every year. I mean, they're amazing. Their product stuff. And I would just say, Tom, to go to Jody's point, is like, don't not think that your event isn't award worthy. I used to do that for a long time, thinking, oh, my events aren't there. I'm not at that caliber. But lo and behold, I realized that, well, no, I had been putting out event worthy or award worthy events. So never doubt yourself. I mean, that's a big thing about this. And maybe you said, it goes back to your earlier question, like, well, why? It's the validation, but it's great for marketing for yourself, for your company, but it's also to show that you work hard. We know we all work hard in this industry, and it should be a celebration of what we do. So never doubt yourself. Believe in yourself, believe in your product, believe in the things that you can do as an individual or company, as a team, and enter. You can't win one unless you enter one.
Love it. Love it. That's a great way to end. Thank you, JC. Thank you, Jody. And for those listening, we hope you've enjoyed today's conversation, and it was both informative, maybe a little bit entertaining, and has stoked your interest in the ILEA Esprit Awards. So look forward to you connecting and participating, and we'll see you on our next awards Q&A, our next Q&A session.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye.
Thanks.